this shouldn't take more than about an hour. Doesn't fit. Hey everyone, I'm Zach, and that's a cockroach-sized hole I gotta fix. Alright, so you're all moved in and you're basking in the awesomeness of your new home, and then you notice it. The weird light coming between the door and the frame, a little bit of air coming through there. You're wondering, what is this? So you take a closer look and you notice that there's some stuff there. What is that? Does it matter? Should I care? I don't know. But since you're a human like me and those instincts to preserve your energy are strong, what you probably do is decide to invest your time elsewhere. And then one of these happens, followed by one of these, and now you're sufficiently motivated to fix the problem. But what is it? And why does it really matter? It's weather stripping, probably the most boring thing in the whole house, but it matters because besides the fact it can let Texas-sized bugs in, it's original, I know. According to the Department of Energy, it can cost you up to 20% in your monthly energy bill. So today I'm gonna fix it, and the first step is figuring out how. So let me show you what I'm working with. The current weather stripping is this brass or copper V-strip that's stapled to the frame of the door. And it looks like some things were changed around the strike plates and some of the weather stripping was removed or fell off and was never replaced. And you can see that's probably because there's not a lot of room to mount the V-strip weather stripping anymore. So I had to do some shopping around to figure out what my options were, and what do you know, there's an entire world of weather stripping that you can nerd out on if you really want to. Tons of options for cost, installation method, and seal type, so you can find a solution for pretty much anything. There are a couple links in the description that are super helpful if you're working on a weather stripping project, but for my project, here's my plan. I'm gonna use this foam weather stripping because it should fit into the available space pretty nicely. It mounts with an adhesive backing, so I shouldn't need to modify the door frame at all, and it was relatively cheap. And although it is cheap and easy to install, one risk that the internet warns quite a bit about with the foam stuff is that it can fall apart quickly. So we're just gonna have to keep an eye on that for now. In addition to the foam around the door frame, I'm gonna replace the door sweep as well. I'm gonna replace it with this vinyl one that should be a direct replacement. It mounts using screws just like the old one, so I shouldn't need to modify the door at all. And it was relatively cheap as well. For the weather stripping, I'm going to place it here so that it has good contact and compression with the door when it's closed. But for the side of the frame with the hinges on it, I'll place it here so that when the door closes on it, it'll compress and it won't try to peel it off. And since I'm using weather stripping that mounts with an adhesive and a door sweep that mounts with screws, the only tools I'll need for the job are a tape measure to measure the door and frame, a pair of pliers to remove the old weather stripping, screwdriver, and some rags or wipes to clean off the door frame before mounting the new weather stripping. So let's get started. The first step is to measure the door and the frame to make sure I bought the right amount and size of weather stripping. The second step is to remove the old weather stripping. And the third step is cleaning the door frame so I can put the new weather stripping on. And then finally, mounting the new weather stripping. Doesn't fit. Round 2, will it fit? Worse than round 1. All right, so the importance of picking the right size strip is so your door will actually close. One slight mismeasurement. We'll fix that one later. I'm not pulling it off. I can't get it off. So you can't tell, it's my first time putting on weather stripping. It's not going so well. This side worked perfectly. This side, not so much. Like a little piggy tail.
Even the bird's laughing at you.
I know. Okay. So we need a smaller foam for this side. Okay, so that obviously didn't work out so well because I forgot one kind of critical step. I didn't measure the size of the gaps very well. So when I had originally bought this weather stripping, I had measured the side of the door where the hole is near the strike plates, and it was big, so I bought big weather stripping. What I didn't account for is the side of the door where the hinges are. The gap is a lot smaller, and so as the door closes, it can't squeeze this one enough. So I had to go back and buy some other weather stripping, which is here now, and you can see the difference in these in terms of how tall they are. This one's much smaller. It's a 1/4 inch by 1/8 of an inch, so that it'll fit behind the door where the hinges are when the door closes. What was happening before, you can see with this fatter one, is the door couldn't squeeze it behind the hinges well enough, and so it kept pushing the door back open. So, decent lesson learned. Let's go fix it. All right, so if everything had gone to plan, this project should have cost me about $41 and an hour of my time. But since I made some mistakes, didn't measure things properly, I had to get some extra weather stripping and use some extra tools to trim the door sweep. So I'm in it for about $71 now and about 2 to 3 hours of my time, but still not all that bad for sealing up the door, which will help save some money on the energy bill, but it'll most importantly keep more bugs out. So hopefully this video was helpful for you if you're also getting into a weather stripping project of your own. If it was, please subscribe. There's a ton more projects we're gonna be doing around the house. So if you're interested in what those are, did a house tour video, check that out. Thanks for watching.